Ora è veramente il primo appuntamento con la poesia straniera del pomeriggio e allora è il momento di Kate Clanchy, che prego di salire sul palco, che sarà accompagnata e introdotta da Giorgia Sensi, che ne è la traduttrice. Prego, Kate. Giorgia.
Buonasera a tutti, benvenuta Kate Clanchy, che nel programma è indicata come poeta scozzese, e in effetti lo è perché è nata in Scozia, ma da anni residente, mi tolgo la mascherina, residente in Inghilterra e in particolar modo nella città di Oxford. Quindi, welcome,
Thank you.
Kate, and welcome to Ritratti and to the reading of your poetry.
Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for having me and to a poetry festival. Poetry is my first form I write in, the first form I read in, but I haven't been writing. I've only just returned to writing poetry after 20 years, so it's good. I'm very pleased to be here.
Kate dice che è molto contenta di essere qui e di leggere poesia, che è la sua prima forma di scrittura, però è praticamente 20 anni circa che non scrive poesia, perché ha scritto romanzi, ha scritto short stories e anche un importante memoir, an important memoir you wrote in prose.
My school teaching, yes, I wrote a book called Some Kids I Taught and What They Taught Me about teaching. It's won the Orwell Prize. Yeah.
Ha scritto un importante memoir che ha vinto il George Orwell Prize for Political Writing. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
2 years ago, 2 anni fa, ha vinto questo importante premio. E questo memoir è un racconto praticamente della sua carriera di insegnante. But today we are back to poetry. Oggi ritorniamo alla poesia.
Yes, absolutely.
E le poesie che Kate leggerà oggi sono tratte dal suo libro pubblicato in Italia che si chiama La testa di Shakila. Shall we talk a little about this book, La testa di Shakila?
So that's a book that you put together for the festival in Pordenone. It's a wonderful selection of my poems, and then it also has a small amount of prose. It has an essay called Shakila's Head, which is about teaching a young Afghan woman who's in the audience today, in fact.
La testa di Shakila è un libro speciale perché, a parte il fatto che è stato presentato un paio d'anni fa, proprio subito prima del Covid, al Festival di Pordenone Legge, e raccoglie le sue poesie, una selezione delle sue poesie e anche dei piccoli brani in prosa che riguardano appunto il suo insegnamento, il suo laboratorio di poesia, di cui abbiamo parlato stamattina con Shukriya Rezai e le colombe di Damasco. Can you just say a little about this experience?
So we have it, The Doves of Damascus in Italian. It's called England, Poems from a School in English. So I taught in a very multicultural school in Oxford, where most of the students were recent migrants. And we wrote poems, 10 years. And the poems were so good that they became well known, and there's a book of them, which we also have in Italian, and we were presenting this morning.
questa sua esperienza di laboratori di poesia soprattutto per studenti rifugiati da altri paesi come l'Afghanistan ma anche la Siria e l'Iran sono stati raccolti in una sua antologia che si chiama England Poems from a School e che in italiano si chiama Le colombe di Damasco. È stata veramente una grande esperienza e in Inghilterra ha avuto un grandissimo successo. But the poems you are going to read today belong to
me.
Yes, a different past. Le poesie che leggerà oggi però appartengono a un diverso passato. Can you just say a little about the poems you are going to read today?
Yeah. So these poems come from, start from in early 90s, and then they take me through to just one poem which is new. So, yeah.
Yeah. In 1990s, you
yeah,
say, yes.
So in fact I was on a radio program in England on Women's Hour, and then they rang me up and I said, oh, the poem's okay, and they said, oh yes, but we got in an actress to read them, we needed a younger voice. So I hope that my voice will not be too old today to read my own poems.
Sì. Quindi risaliamo addirittura ai primi anni 90 per queste poesie. Alla fine però Kate leggerà una poesia inedita che ha scritto di recente. You wrote quite recently the unpublished.
It was from Newborn I was reading, and they said they needed a younger voice to read them.
Queste poesie del passato che lei ha letto per Women's Hour, che è una importante trasmissione della BBC, però le avevano chiesto di leggerle, ma volevano una voce più giovane. It was over 20 years ago.
It was still a very rude thing to say, though. I was very upset.
Che chiaramente, insomma, è stata abbastanza colpita da questa richiesta, come se la sua voce fosse vecchia allora, e non è vecchia adesso, quindi figuriamoci allora. I know that, naturalmente queste poesie le conosco perché le ho tradotte appunto a suo tempo e vengono da una selezione di sue raccolte, no? These poems come from a selection of your poems.
From my set of poems. Yeah.
Okay, so shall we go and read them? Dimenticavo una cosa importante, che la prima poesia che Kate leggerà, la traduzione della prima poesia, questa è di Franco Buffoni.
Okay. So this is one of my very early poems. Men. I like the simple sort, the soft white-collared ones smelling of wash that someone else has done, of apples, hard new wood. I like the thin-skinned, outdoor, crinkled kind, the athletes, big-limbed who stoop to hear, the moneyed men, the unironic, leisured sort who balk at jokes and have to blink, the men with houses, kids in cars, who own the earth and love it, know themselves at home here, and so don't know they're born, or why born is hard, but snatch life smack from the sky, a cricket ball caught clean that fills the hand. I put them all at sea. They peer at my dark land as if through sun on dazzling waves, and laugh. This is Slatten. It's the first poem I ever wrote. I've always been very untidy. Slatten means, Slatten. I leave myself about, slattenly, bits of me, and times I liked. I let them go on lying where they fall, crumple if they will. I know fine how to make them walk and breathe again. Sometimes at night or on the train, I dream I'm dancing or lying in someone's arms who says he loves my eyes in French. And again, I am walking up your road, that first time, bidden and wanted, the blossom and the trees, light, light and buoyant. Pull yourself together, they say, quite rightly. But she's stubborn, that girl, that hopeful one, still walking. Thank you. This is a Valentine, which I wrote such a long time ago for a man who had no sense of smell that I can't remember his name. But the poem is doing fine. So that serves him right for dumping me. There we go. Poem for a man with no sense of smell. This is simply to inform you that the thickest line in the kink of my hand smells like the feel of an old school desk, the deep carved names worn sleek with sweat. That beneath the spray of my expensive scent, my armpits sound a bass note strong as the boom of a palm on a kettle drum. That the wet flush of my fear is sharp as the taste of an iron pipe midwinter on a child's hot tongue. And that sometimes, in a breeze, the delicate hairs on the nape of my neck, just where you might bend your head, might hesitate and brush your lips, hold a scent frail and precise as a fleet of tiny origami ships just setting out to sea. Thank you. There we go. This poem, this is a love poem. It's actually my most popular poem. If you look it up on the web, you can discover it in all strange forms, especially popular in Singapore. And I once discovered it on a One Direction fan site being written from Louis to Harry. So that will teach me to ego surf, okay? It's called Patagonia, but it's just an imagined country. I said, perhaps Patagonia, and pictured a peninsula wide enough for a couple of ladder-back chairs to wobble on at high tide. I thought of us in breathless cold, facing an horizon round as a coin looped in a cat's cradle strung by gulls from sea to sun. I planned to wait till the waves had bored themselves to sleep, till the last clinging barnacles, growing worried in the hush, had paddled off in tiny coracles, till those restless birds, your actors' hands, had dropped slack into your lap, until you turned at last to me. When I spoke of Patagonia, I meant skies all empty, aching, blue. I meant years. I meant all of them with you. Yeah, people read that at weddings, which is such a mistake. What can they be thinking? This is about being Scottish or not being Scottish, and there's a train that you can get on that takes you up the east coast, and you go over the border. So it's me thinking about where I belonged. The bridge over the border. Here, I should surely think of home, my country, and the neat, steep town where I grew up, its banks of cloud, the winds and changing, stagey light, its bouts of surly, freezing rain. Or failing that, the time the train stuck here half an hour. It was hot for once. The engine seemed to grunt and breathe with us, and in the hush, the busker at the back plucked out, Scotland the brave. There was a filmic golden light, and the man opposite was struck, he said, with love. He saw a country in my eyes, but he was from Los Angeles, and I was thinking of another bridge. It was October. I was running to meet a man with whom things were not quite settled, were not, in fact, to ever settle, and I stopped halfway to gaze at birds, swallows in their distant thousands, drawn to Africa or heat or home, not knowing which, but certain how. Shifting on the paper sky, they were crosses on stock market graphs. They were sand in a hoop shaken sideways, and I stared as if panning for gold. Oh, I've run out of time.
Possiamo fare?
Should I just go to the last one?
Just one.
Just go to the last one. So this is a new poem. Shukriya taught me to do the Divan of Hafez. So you look into the book of the poet Hafez, and he tells you your fortune. And my fortune was that love would dignify your broken heart, which I hope will happen. So here we go. Hafiz says, your love will dignify my heart, my broken heart, my heart which has been stripped of all its fine clothes, my heart beaten from the city gates, my bruised heart in rags and tatters, my heart trying to hide the cuts on its knees, my heart so thirsty it has drunk from oily puddles, my heart so hungry it has eaten from chip papers, my heart that sat with thieves, my heart that drank moonshine and got out the cards, my heart that won a coat, my heart that walked on. Will you dignify this heart, my Lord, Lord with a vagabond heart? I have arrived at your castle, smell of clean clothes, smell of fine coffee. I'm climbing your gate, calling up to your window. The night is over. The dawn is a red line on the hills. Walk there with me. Okay.